Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Nick Cavalancia. I am the VP of Marketing here at SpectorSoft. I am joined by Ms. Jeani Park, who heads up our product management at SpectorSoft as well. Jeani, say hello to the adoring audience here.
Hi, everybody.
So thank you for coming and joining us today. Today's topic, of course, is how user activity monitoring can protect your organization's reputation, your assets, and your privacy. We're going to take a couple of minutes and talk about user activity monitoring from a couple of different aspects of your business. But before we do that, if you just humor me and give me about 2 or 3 minutes of your time to first tell you a little bit about SpectorSoft, we'll do that and tell you about us and some of our awards and some of our customers. So we've been around for a number of years, since 1998. We do have about 100 and some odd different employees. I'm currently in West Palm Beach, Florida, in which case it's I'm looking out the window. It's beautiful outside, some blue skies and clouds. I hope most of you are enjoying that same kind of weather. We do have about 150,000 business customers and over 500,000 home customers. We do have two focuses on our business. They both revolve around user activity monitoring. One is the corporate side, where we're trying to seek to protect, again, your reputation, your assets, your privacy by monitoring user activity. We take that same application and apply it to the consumer base, where we monitor the activity in the effort to protect kids, make parents aware of what's going on with their children online, and also when they're using, let's say, cellular telephones, that sort of thing. All right, so we have received a number of awards over the last number of years. The most recent is our Redmond's Reader's Choice Award. In 2011, we actually received 4 different awards. And you can kind of read this yourself. I'm not going to read the slides to you. We have been in the Inc. 500 and the Inc. 5000 consecutively for the last, I believe it's 7 years as well. And if you take a look at our customers, our customers range anywhere in size from 10 seats to you could say 10,000 or 100,000 seats. And the idea here is that a lot of organizations will utilize us either in departments, divisions of their organization, sometimes, of course, organization-wide as well. But typically, the aspects of the business where they're trying to protect, let's say, protecting from insider theft, or for information leaving the organization, people doing inappropriate things at work, whatever the case is. We tend to find that even these large organizations, you can see some of the graphics up here on the screen, that they'll utilize us to protect that one aspect of their business as opposed to maybe doing it enterprise-wide. And then again, some other organizations will roll out our software enterprise-wide. So that's SpectorSoft just in a really quick nutshell. I don't want to spend too much time on it. So, Jeani, why don't we talk about user activity monitoring a little bit and what is it, and then let's set the tone for the rest of the webinar.
Okay. User activity monitoring is a unique way to do security monitoring. So in corporations, typically you're used to having AV products, web filtering products, vulnerability products. User activity monitoring is a way to see what your users are actually doing across all their applications in their daily work. So it allows you to solve problems like insider theft, productivity, compliance initiatives, tracking inappropriate communication from a user perspective. So most of the monitoring tools that you folks are using today are probably focused on operations monitoring or process monitoring, and they tend to be point specific. So we're going to show you how having a really broad view of how people work, no matter what device they're on and where they're located, is much more powerful and allows you to solve problems.
So on the webinar today, we want to talk about 2 aspects of it. We find that a lot of IT folks are very interested in this topic, whether they're the ones stemming the conversation in their organization or they're simply meeting the need that someone else in the organization, like let's say the CIO, has tasked them with. So we wanted to cover kind of 2 aspects, sort of a what's free in the industry. We're doing this primarily Windows focused here today, but it does apply, and we'll try and be as OS neutral as we can, but for the most part it's Windows focused here. So what's free to do some of the types of things that you'd want to do to cover those 4 bullets to see if they're in detecting the insider theft, the benchmarking and productivity, the compliance, the inappropriate communications, and so on. But then we want to talk about next, what does SpectorSoft have to offer as well. So there's kind of a dual purpose here. So, Jeani, why don't you first set the tone, and I guess let's talk about Spector 360, which is what we're going to be offering throughout the course of the webinar, so that there's a little bit of a primer there before we jump into talking about each of the common problems.
Okay. Spector 360 is client-server software that allows you, again, to push agents out to Windows machines and Mac machines so that you can monitor, capture, and replay user activity. So you can push policies out and you can review detailed and summary data across a user or user group. So, for instance, you might want to watch what your contractors are doing, or what your remote employees are doing, or if you have new employees, you might want to make sure that they're trained properly, or they're following the guidelines they're supposed to follow. So this diagram here gives you an idea of how the components work together. So you've got a server-based back-end, it's a database, and then small components that go out and data is collected centrally and viewed centrally, and I'll be showing the product a little bit more detail as we go forward, and then Nick will sort of weave in some of the tools that are out in the market that solve some of the problems we're talking about, but they don't do it quite as completely as a full-blown user activity monitoring solution. So the one thing that I wanted to really talk about is why care? If there are free solutions out there, there are user activity monitoring solutions, maybe even across Windows. Why would companies come to us or go to other places and look for a really full-featured user activity monitoring solution? And one of the big reasons is there's huge problems you probably read about in the news, insider theft, loss of IP, trade secrets, even in companies with millions and millions of dollars in security software. So we know there's still gaps. We know that problems aren't being met. And whether some of these things are accidental or on purpose, companies really lose reputation and they lose money, and it's, there's huge impacts to both the bottom line and the top line. That's why people continue to search and seek for solutions that are more full-featured and address the problems better. All right. So I'm going to let Nick talk a little bit now about some of the tools and solutions you might find out there that are free, and then we'll show you how those compare to what 360 does, which again is a really full-featured user activity monitoring solution.
So in terms of insider theft, you've got two things that I generally want to talk about that are free. You of course have the Windows file auditing. You put that on your servers. I put a bit.ly link up here, which essentially links over to Microsoft's website that tells you how to turn on and enable auditing. And the idea there is, of course, you're able to go ahead and create an audit trail of activities that people are performing on, let's say, a given Windows server. Now, there's a little bit of an assumption here that the particular information that you are trying to avoid, being stolen, the IP, the insider trade secrets, whatever it happens to be, actually exists on a Windows server, right? So that's one of the aspects that we're making an assumption here. And the other thing, of course, is with Windows auditing, it's rather detailed and takes a little bit of time to go digging through, but I'll come back to that in a minute. The other part of this is keyloggers. There are a number of keyloggers that are out there that you could put client-side, and by putting them client-side, you are able to then see what the individual user is doing. The problem with keyloggers, in fact, Jeani, let's jump to the next slide real quick. We'll talk about what's wrong with